Hey Red Eye, I'm Gareth Evans, writer-director of The Raid and The Raid 2.
I'm Iko Uwais.
The Raid 2 will open in Chicago on April 4th. Please go out and support us.
Well, I want to talk about all the kind of most memorable action sequences in this movie and go through kind of what the challenges were with each one, the craziest moments, accidents, things like that. Let's start with the fight in the narrow prison stall where there's like you versus 15 people. You're just in this narrow box. What was the biggest challenge with that, and was there like an accident that you had? How many times did you have to do that?
And the challenge is because the space is really small in the toilet, and as we fight with the 15 people, and yeah, the choreography has to be like still correct, right? Like with the clear movement, and yeah, and also in the camera inside the toilet.
You're gonna say it wasn't just 15 people fighting against him. You also had the camera going around him.
And if
did you say the camera was in the toilet?
What we did was like this. So we had we designed the set in a way so that like the cubicle walls, we put them on a hinge, so that basically if we wanted to get into the toilet cubicle with him and then go around him during the fight scene, we would like as we're coming in, we'd open this one up on an angle so we could come around, and then when we come around to here, this one opens up, this one closes back again. So we had to kind of, our art department were kind of going all the time to accommodate wherever we wanted to put the camera. So it meant like, because the thing is like this, in that tight space, yeah, you can get away with just shooting it this way and this way and this way, and then it still works. But we wanted to do something more instant with the camera. We wanted to like really like throw you into the middle of it and get that feeling of how tight the space is and stuff.
Oh, and you do that so beautifully there, and in the car sequences too.
True.
I mean, looking right down into it. I mean, you feel like I thought I was sitting right next to you, and that your foot was going to come into my face.
And my DOP's claustrophobic, so he hates me for these scenes now. Like, in the first one, he hated everything inside the little toilet cubicle when they were hiding. And then in this one, I was like, okay, we got an entire fight in the toilet cubicle, and then also inside the car as well. So yeah, he hates those type of movements.
Well, obviously, I'm sure you guys prepared so much for every sequence. They look incredible. But between like the fight in the prison stall, the fight in the mud with all those people, the car, which one were you most worried that he would get injured?
Ooh. Can I answer?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
You know, when the naked scene is, I really enjoy it for my heart.
When you have to take his clothes off.
Because it's really difficult for the choreography when I open my t-shirt.
That was the hardest part, taking your shirt off?
And show off my dick. Oh, sorry. And show off my little bro. And yeah, it's really...
Little being the ultimate word on that one.
Gareth, what do you have to say about that?
I don't want to say anything about that. I mean, like, for him, it was like... it's a weird situation where... in 3 movies now, I've asked him to kill so many different people in so many different ways, and the only little problem he had was about having to kind of take some clothing off. That was like the only problem we ever had was that.
Did he complain when you brought that up to him?
We had a lot of conversations about that, right? Yeah, a lot of conversations. But like we got that thing where I kind of assured him. I said, look, we'll only shoot you from hip up, and then you can keep your underwear on. It's fine. But just like it's just the intent is there, and we'll think that you have and stuff like that. So,
why does that scare you more than having like 1,000 people bearing down on you?
You haven't seen his ass. But yeah, going back to the fight scenes, which one could have injured him the most though? Yeah, I think like the one that I was more worried about for injuries was the prison riot. And it's not because the choreography was so like dangerous or anything. It wasn't anything specific about the choreography. It was more the actual the ground that we were on, because it was muddy and it was slippery as hell, and it's deceptive because it looks, because it's so thick, the mud, that you keep thinking like, oh well, if you fall it's gonna cushion you, yeah. But every time we fall, you just like you go straight through the mud and hit the concrete underneath. Then it was like sharp concrete underneath as well, because our art department, they did a lot of stuff that was good, but some on that one there was a lot of broken tiles underneath the mud.
Soalnya
We all cut our feet.
Yeah.
You never give a shit when I get hurt.
Okay. Yeah, nah, kayo.
Because the shoot doesn't stop when the director gets hurt, not just when the actor gets hurt. Yeah.
Was there ever like a funny moment where you got it, this whole sequence exactly the way you wanted it? Everyone's fighting for hours at a time, and then at the last minute, someone like slips in the mud, like whoop.
Close.
Yeah.
We had things like that when people fell, but the worst was like you get it perfect, like the movement is right, the camera is right, the fighters are right, and then on the final block, mud will fly off their arm and then go against the lens. That was the most annoying thing in the entire thing, because we're bringing the camera low a lot. We're coming down low and then right in the middle of the action. So that happened like almost every shot it would happen at least once. So then it's the process then of like, because we have like the lens guard and stuff, that was the process of having to clean that and make it clear.
Like, start over, everyone.
It's so
that was great.
Yeah.
Move back 5 hours because we have to redo the whole thing.
But it was a pain in the ass, man. It was the one or two shots that actually still have like in the far corner of a screen, you'll see like a little smear of mud or something or other, because we just like we were running out of time. Then it was like 8 days shooting in that environment. It was intense because we had these like white sheets, silk sheets across the entire ceiling of the building, of the structure. Sorry, because in Indonesia we don't have like a consistent sky in terms of like for lighting for the film. So like the clouds will form and disappear within 10 minutes or so. And so it's so hard to get consistency and balance of lighting, so we always put these silks across to kind of balance it out. But the downside is like at 12 o'clock in the afternoon, when it's like the hottest and it gets hot for like the next 3 hours, inside our environment, it was like you were being cooked in there. It was insane. It was so warm, man.
Which sequence that you set up, I mean, there are so many crazy ones in the movie, which one, as it was going along, had a voice in your mind telling you, I cannot believe I'm trying to do this. Why did I bring this on myself? This is so hard.
Car chase, yeah. That shot there.
Yeah, that shot.
We had this shot in the car chase where we go out from one car and then into another car and then travel through that car through the back window. And we talked about how we were going to do it, and the idea was we were going to try and shoot it with CG first. We were going to try to do VFX on it, but we were worried that we would like overstretch our limit in terms of what we were capable of doing on the VFX front. And so then we thought about maybe pulling two cars on a flatbed, but then even then it was hard to get a flatbed long enough and the roads to be long enough for us to be able to do that, and also then I have to paint out the VFX and then put the road in, So after spending months and months and months debating it, we were like a day away from shooting and we still hadn't figured out what we were going to do for it. So in the end we decided, let's just do it for real. So what we did is we had we had the fight car here and we had the camera car here. And then the camera car guy, once we get to the same speed as each other, my camera operator, my DOP, holding the camera, pushes it through the open window. So we're like side by side with this car and he shouts, action. Iko throws a guy over into the boot. We pull the camera out and then whip pan across. This car drives off now ahead of us. And then another car then starts to come up here and join us. And then as he joins us, as he's getting closer, he has to slow his speed down so that we can go the same speed, so that we can push the camera through the window in here.
That sounds easy to execute, no problem.
Then the second DOP is going to take the camera from inside the car so we can let go and then drift off, and he operates it. And the way we did that was that the guy who was driving that car, next to him is the seat. Our DOP was the seat, so he was just there, stood with his arms behind his back, dressed as a car seat, and he's waiting. And then when that camera comes in and goes through, he comes there, grabs it, and then carries operating. And then they switch. So then our DOP's done. Now he's done, and now it's the second DOP.
Is he in the credits as car seat?
He's in the behind the scenes photos. Yeah, I sat on him as well. There's a moment, and then basically the back window blows, and then he pushes out through the back window, and then points across, and then another truck is coming this way. And what you guys don't get to see in the shot is that on the there's a platform on the other side of the car, and then on there we got a third guy who's just lying down on the platform waiting for that camera to come through just to provide support and then keep it up.
Wow.
So yeah, it was intense, and that was we were using the Red Scarlet, which is reasonably expensive camera, but without any rigging, without any sort of grips or handles or anything, because they just wouldn't fit through the window otherwise. So we were having to just grab hold of the box and just push it through and hope nobody dropped it.
And just
hope. So yeah, and I was sat in the back of that car thinking oh please Christ, don't mess this up.
How many people do you think Iko kills in this movie total?
More than one.
More than one. That's your estimate?
We're in double figures at least. I think. I don't know.
I can't count.
No, I know. Like, there's too many people, right? But we got like 16, 17 action sequences in this one.
And there's like 200 people in some of them, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we doesn't kill them all though. So I'd say you probably kill around about maybe 40 people.
40
I think
people.
40 is a good number. I mean, if you are, Schwarzenegger killed like 100 in Commando.
Really?
Yeah. Did you see there was this YouTube video that went up online a while back, about 2 or 3 months ago?
No.
It was basically a compilation of every single person he's killed from the start of his career until now. It's incredible.
Wow.
It's like 30 minutes long, just people dying.
I feel like Iko is already competitive with him in like a couple movies.
It's really weird because, like, you see this movie and it's like it shows Commando, and they go through Commando, go kill by kill by kill, and it's like the first hour of the movie is only like 15 people, right? And then the last 20 minutes it clocks up to 100. It kills like 85 people in 20 minutes. It's amazing.
I'd like to see what your reel will be like when you're all said and done.
We got to get 85 people in 20 minutes in the next movie. Yeah.
Also, in the camera inside the
Yeah.
toilet over there.
I was going to say, it wasn't just 15 people fighting against him.
Yeah.
You also had a camera going around him.
And if
Did you say the camera was in the toilet?
What we did was like this. So we had, we designed the set in a way so that like the cubicle walls, we put them on a hinge. So that basically if we wanted to get into the toilet cubicle with him and then go around.
The biggest challenge with that, and was there like an accident that you had? How many times did you have to do that?
And the challenge is that because the space is really small in the toilet, and as we fight with the 15 people, and yeah, the choreography has to be like still correct, right? Like with the clear movement, and yeah, and.
Hey Red Eye, I'm Gareth Evans, writer director of The Raid and The Raid 2.
I'm Iko Uwais.
The Raid 2 will open in Chicago on April 4th. Please go out and support us.
Well, I want to talk about all the kind of most memorable action sequences in this movie and go through kind of what the challenges were with each one, the craziest moments, accidents, things like that. Let's start with the fight in the narrow prison stall, where there's like you versus 15 people. You're just in this narrow box. What was the